So classic pipeline is easy, right? We are just what we have done. We are dragging the features and available. So whereas ML pipeline is little, what do you say? Initially, you may feel like, okay, this, but I'll teach you how to get the uh, code, basically, whatever is required, right? It is plain, ML is very easy to understand. Okay. Initially, you may have just one session, but slowly I'll cover 2-3 sessions for ML, right? So ML stands for yet another markup language, but it is not like a XML or HTML markup language where you have tags and all, right? Basically, this is a text-based, completely text-based language, right? If you have seen the JSON documents, more or less it is kind of same way of writing code, right? So that is how you'll write the AML basically. So AML looks something like this, like this. There are rules which you have to follow when you are creating the pipelines. So while creating a pipeline, I'll show you. Okay. The pipeline is versioned with your code. See, what is the advantage? It is going to create a file called some AML pipeline. So we will be adding that AML file along with the source code. So version controlling is already taken care using the AML file, basically. In case if you have multiple repos where you want to maintain multiple configurations, right? So for every version, you may have different uh, code or properties, right? Those things are very well taken care in this particular version of YAML files. So the respective YAML file will be in the respective repositories. Okay. Simple. YAML is a file which is equivalent to any other file in the project. Okay. We can just basically the biggest advantage is versioning is possible. Okay. Every branch you can use to modify the build policy by modifying the so and so YAML file, right? You can have multiple YAML files in the same project, and based on the version, maybe version release 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, you can maintain the same respective versioning files, and so that it is easy for you to release even if you have multiple versions in parallel. Okay. Those are the things. And another thing, a change to the build process might cause a break. This is what we discussed already. If you change the build process, so you might break your project, right? But if you are not changing the structure of the project, then this YAML file will make sense because the changes in version control along with your project, right? So ideally, the best way to learn is start using YAML. So it is very easy. We'll go back to your, we'll create practically, okay? I'll take 2 sessions, I mean, basically here. We already have one classic pipeline, right? So we'll create one YAML pipe. This one we have already. For the same project, I'm going to create a new YAML pipeline. So this is a classic. Create a new YAML pipeline. Okay. Here, these are the sources, basically repositories which you can select. In our case, Azure Git repo. These are the 3. As of now, it is supporting R4. Right. So choose whichever is applicable for your project. Okay. Now, same thing for which repository, all those things you need to select similar to your YAML. Okay. I'll select the whichever it is. Default one is this. So I'll choose this. This is my repository. And starter pipeline you can choose so that it will pre-populate again some code. There will be ASP.NET Core. I just want to show you how it will generate. This is the ASP.NET Core. Can you see here? It will create one YAML file. This is one text editor where you can see commands and compilation errors, all those things. Tabs, you can see here, minimize, right? So it's easy. Remember one important thing, this is the space-based document, right? If the space is different, I mean the like this. I'll delete this. I'll write similar to your what we have created already in the classic pipeline. Let me open one more classic pipeline. Here, trigger we have, right? There is a master branch. In case if you want to trigger for multiple branches, same feature branch, whichever it is. Okay. But for now, let us try to repeat the same thing what we have learned. For now, I don't want to connect to any branch. So I'll give none for now. Okay. Okay. If you see here, TPVS, these are the major tasks basically. Pool we need to select, right? If you remember, we have something called pool here, right? Let's say, just to show you how useful the text editor is. See here, red color. That means the position is wrong. Okay. This is very good editor. Okay. Now pool. Now, if you remember here, we have something called agent pool. Where is this? Here, agent pool. So that is what we are going to write. So whichever it is, Ubuntu latest or whichever it is here. See here, Ubuntu latest. These are the values. We have to write basically. And variables, build configuration, whether it's release or debug we have. And scripts, what are the .NET build we have to do, .NET restore we have to do, right? So these are the commands. If you remember the previous sessions we have used, right? We have done the build using .NET build, so and so configuration, all those things. We have not added, it is not doing any publish or restore. We have to add that. So publish is not there if you see here. Right? This is what. Okay. This is basically a template based on your language selection. Automatically it will. So, I don't want this also. We'll write this. Now we need to add the tasks basically. If you are well versed with AML, you can type here, right? What we want to use. It will display actually .NET latest CLI like this. If you know the AML file, you can use this way. Okay. Under this, now whatever you are writing, it should be under the tasks, right? So I want to display name is restore. Same, I'm trying to repeat here. What are the steps we have? Okay. Now, just like this. Here, trigger task. Okay. If you are not sure that what to type, then there is an option. Delete everything. Only thing you have to make sure is the cursor should be at the right place where you want to write the code. Okay. Here, right? Here there is something called show assistance. Click on this. .NET Core is going to be. What are you trying to do? I want to do the first thing as restore. And what is the project? /star dot cs. Any project in the current directory or subdirectory. Okay. For restore, we don't need any arguments. Command line arguments are not required, right? Right? Okay. Right now, just add it. So when you are done, just click on add. See here, code is added. Okay. Just use this. So one more task we want to add, right? .NET Core, this time build, right? Configuration arguments, right? Hyphen configuration, right? And this is the configuration we want. Copy. Now make sure you have to be at the right place, cursor. Okay, these are the few hints. So if you practice, you'll know better. Just add it. So it will add the next task is build. Okay. Now what I want this time I want to publish it, right? Hyphen dollar same build configuration. Make sure to give the properly this. Okay. And we need some output, right? Output directly, basically. Right? What is our output directory? Output should go to output, then add the parameter wherever you have. If you know this, right? Otherwise, you can copy from your classic pipeline. Build dot artifact staging directory. If you are not sure that, here, go back here. Where is your publish? Here, copy paste this. Okay, this is what. In case of any spelling mistakes and all, just copy paste this. Okay. And same remaining zip whether you want all these things. Right? Added task. Publish is done. And what is the final task we want? Publish build artifact. Here. Just click on it. Default name is drop. If you remember, this is what. So my pipeline is ready. This is how you can write. Right now, whatever the pipeline we have built is a single stage pipeline. This is now we will do it multi-stage pipeline also when we are working as a release pipelines, right? That time I'll teach you how to write multi-stage pipeline in AML. Save. Here, if you see here, it will create a new file, Azure pipeline, and it is committing basically. If you see here, commit. Run pipeline. Same thing. Pipeline started. Instead of classic, we have just used AML. The backend in the agent, the steps are same, the process is same, the execution is same. Only the type is instead of classic AML. Everything we are seeing .NET CLI, right? So if we add display name, then the respective step name or task name will get displayed. I'll modify that. Where is this? Let it finish. Then I'll show you how to get the source code directly from the classic pipeline. So job is done. Here, artifact. Same. You have your zip file. Now go to pipelines. That is your classic pipeline. Any task you select, right? Let's say publish. See here, you have an option, view YAML. This is the step. This is another way of taking the YAML. Your YAML code is here, right? Whatever we have written in the YAML file, this is what. Same thing we are able to display from the classic pipeline also. So these are the very good advantages in Azure DevOps, right? Go back to your YAML pipeline. Where is that? Pipelines, edit, pipeline. I want to rename this, rename or move. Okay, YAML. Here, this is YAML, this is classic. Rest of the things are same, whatever you have, right? Which branch, which last run, all those things. See here, master, what is the commit ID, all the information. Again, you have something, retention and all, I will talk later, right? You have settings, triggers, enable, disable, everything. Now, if you go back to your repository, right? Here, this is the file which you have just created. So automatically checked into your repository, right? Here, that syntax and all you will not get because you are in repository. If you want to use the features of ML editor, you have to go to pipelines. Then this is like a text editor, okay? In case if you want to use those options, you have to go to ML. Here only you have to edit. Then only you will get it. Okay? You can change whatever you want. You can add more variables here, right? All those things. So you can just keep on adding the tasks whichever you want, right? These are the simple few options I'm showing you. So this is how you can increase wherever you want the display and whatever you want. Please start writing so automatically you can learn better rather than just for me. Right now, what we have done, did we enable CI here, continuous integration? No. So how to enable? I want to trigger similarly like as soon as the code changes happen on which branch trigger master. The moment I save this now, this particular file is saving here, right? You see the repos, leave this, files. When was the last commit? Commits, right? This is what something, right? Now if you go, is this file? 5 minutes ago. Let me save this. Validate and save. Okay. Now see here, there is an option commit directly. I'm saving. Sorry. Because we committed, if you go and see, your pipeline would have started already. Both started because your classic pipeline we have already enabled, right? So let me disable for timing. I'll just disable for timing. Let it complete. Let it complete the classic, then it will start the YAML. It is in queue now. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Just have what. Yeah. Sorry. So your both pipelines have triggered because we enabled CI in both the places. Any question? So the YAML creates a file in the repo, unlike Classic. Yes, exactly. So it is version now, along with your project. In case of any change, now if you go and check your repository, right, you will see two versions for that. This was 8 minutes ago, right? Just refresh it. 3 minutes ago. There are two versions. If you go and check in commits, right, you can see the information. Okay. Clear? Okay. Now go back to your YAML pipeline. We'll do one thing. Whether CI is enabled or not, because we disabled. Go to command prompt. D:/cd to bash 12 CI demo. Okay. For that. Just I'm editing code and see whether your pipeline will trigger or not. Welcome to CI pipeline YAML. Okay, I'm just saving. Later. Pipeline. Let's go. Git push master. I'm just pushing. Let me see here. You see here, it will start the pipeline. Only YAML because classic we disabled. What happened? Some issue. What happened? Rejected. Master to master fetch first. Error. Ready to push some refs. Okay. Why this is? Because we forgot the basic rule. Should always pull the changes first. Right? Now done. Now if you go and check, you should start your pipeline. See, started. When? Just now. So either way, as soon as some check can happen, this is how you can enable your CI, continuous integration, right? So like that. So triggers, you can specify the master release, whichever it is. In case if you don't want to run the CI and disable the pipeline, trigger should be none, right? And if you remember, we have a option to include and exclude branches, right? In classic pipeline. Similarly, you can specify like this: include so and so or exclude so and so, right? Exclude release. If you exclude, I mean, if you mention exclude, that will have a precedence actually. So the first priority will goes to exclude, right? And if you remember the paths also, right? In case some specific file is modified or not, readme.file example, include, exclude again, paths level. Exactly similar to what we have in your classic pipeline. Yeah, when you enable, you have all these options, right? Exclude, include, these are the options I was trying to say here, right? So this is how you can exclude or include. Okay. Any doubt? Okay.
We can push the pipelines via both via YAML and classic ones, right?
You can push the pipelines, means
Yeah, I mean, we can define or configure the pipelines
both,
by
both,
YAML
yes.
or both. Okay,
Whichever.
and
If you
depends
are
on the depends on the functionality and experience we can go. But either way, it's the same.
same, your output remains same. Either you can, if you are very familiar with YAML and all, so preferably YAML is better. If you are not familiar with YAML, but your outcome remains same, whether you are using through, I mean, building through classic pipeline or YAML pipeline. That's what I showed you, right? From the whatever the code we have written manually, right? The same code is available in the classic pipeline also. There is an option to view YAML, right? If you view the YAML in classic pipeline, you will get the same code for the respective task here. There is your pipeline tasks. Example publish. Here we have option. View YAML. This is classic pipeline. If you view YAML, this is the code we have written. Task, display name we have not given. In case if you want display name also, you can add whatever display name you want. YAML. Edit. I have not added the display name. That is the reason it is. Which step is this? Display name, right? Make sure to have that. So either way, you can write or you can copy paste from here, respective ones, like this. Display name, publish, whatever. Remember that the indentation is very, very important in ML pipeline. Okay. This is actually restore, right? This is the display name. This is build. This is which step? Publish. Right? Just save. Save is nothing but you're committing. Again, it will trigger one build. This time, because we have enabled the master branch CI/CD. So if you see, pipeline has triggered. This time it will display the proper names. When you see the previous runs, .NET CLI, .NET CLI, right? Now if you go and check your pipeline basically, which is running, now you'll get a proper display names like build, restore, all those things. See here, restore, build, publish. It is what we have just added. Simple thing, not so complicated actually. Okay. Let it complete. The steps remain same, irrespective of whether it is classic or done. Just check artifact. You'll again find the drop, and inside that the zip file. Inside zip, you'll have the DLL or whatever the binaries which are required. Okay. Clear. So these are the syntaxes I have mentioned here. I'll upload this document today. You can use all these options for pull request, master releases, right? Okay. One more thing, one important thing you have to remember here is if you go to AML pipeline, what is your pipeline? There is this edit. Here we have an option to trigger, right? So now actually there is a task here. Three dots are there, right? There is an option to triggers. For AML, we'll get the same kind of window what we had in the classic pipeline. Okay. You see here, override the AML continuous integration triggers from here. So whatever you have done in the AML pipeline, that will be uh, we can override using this option here. Okay. Assume in AML file, if I give none and if I put a check mark here, so here master, as soon as some check-in happen to the master, it will trigger. Okay. I don't want this now. Again, in case even if I have given the master there, okay, let me show you that also practically. I have disabled now. Let me save this. Okay. Now I will go and create some check-in. Okay. Somewhere, anywhere, any place is fine. Okay. In committee. Ideally, what happens? Your pipeline should trigger, right? Go and check whether pipeline has triggered or not. See, it is not triggered. If you go and check your YAML file, I have enabled my continuous integration by specifying master here, but it is not triggering. Why? Because we have overwritten this particular section here. We have disabled it. Continuous integration is disabled. Remember this. This section will override the YAML file, not the other way. Okay? People will get confused here. That's why I'm saying. Clear?
One small question. So,
Hmm.
what kind of issues generally we will be facing with the pipelines? Because as you told, mostly we'll be working with CI/CD pipelines. So, what kind of issues will we get?
Pipeline, most of the time we will face an issue with the connectivities. Most of the time. That's where the most of the time I have seen failures. Okay. Maybe the source, your basically agents, right? It all depends on your agent, correct? Everything will go and trigger in your agent. If
Yes.
agent and your pipelines are not connected, then most of the time it is a high possibility of failure. Second thing, the build failures, compilation failures. Okay, that is another place. These are the major places where you will see the failures.
So how do we track them and how from the log sheet?
Logs are there, na? So you can go and check, validate the logs. Where is our
Okay,
pipeline?
I mean from the raw logs, we'll get to see like red marks, or from the text file we get to see any unrecognized. I
See
mean
here,
any specific.
there are so many runs, out of which this has failed, right? Click on that, whichever has failed. It will give you further details. There are 3 errors which found. This is the place, this is the place, this is the place. If it is related to your configuration related, and another place where your pipelines will fail is configuration related, environment changes. Okay. So another most of the time the failures will come because of environment changes. So in case if it is environment changes, you go and fix it. Otherwise, just redirect to the respective teams development. If it is a compilation issues, this is compilation issue. So redirect to the respective person. How do you know this? You know this. Which commit is creating problem? This is the commit. So click on that commit. You'll come to know what happened. This is the change happened, right? And you know who is the user for this. So just here, this is the user. And when was it committed? So and so. Pass the details, and this is the change. It is easy. Initially, you might feel a bit difficult, but this is how you can navigate to the issue, narrow down to the issue. Okay. Now, similar to your groups, right? We have something called templates. Task groups we have seen, right? Using templates, right? If you want to group the tasks so that the same task can be reused, we can reuse wherever you want, right? Something which is similar to that task groups, which is specific to classic pipelines. So in YAML, we have something called templates. So we'll create a template file for that, right? It is going to be a one-time effort. So I'll put all the tasks into a template file. Then I'll reuse that template file for different places. Okay, we'll see that. How do we create that template file? We'll see that now. Go to your repository. What we will do, we'll add a folder. That directly will create. We don't want inside this, so what templates you can create actually. Add. Instead of the repo level, I'll add it here. Folder templates, right? Then new file name, you can add it like some build or whatever you want. We'll use the same thing so that you can understand. Build and restore dot YAML. Right? I'll create it. Right. Now, in this build and restore YAML, I want to create a template basically. Right? How can I do that? Let us do one thing. Copy paste from what we want to reuse, copy that section from the, where is our YAML file? Pipelines. We have YAML edit. right? I'm going to copy paste that. I'm not going to spend time for this again. Okay. Where is our build and restore? This is what our build and restore. I will, but this build and restore are supposed to be under steps, right? Colon, right? If you go here, we have also variables. In template, remember, we are supposed to have parameters. Parameters. Okay. Whenever we run this particular template, I'm going to read these parameters. Okay. Maybe say build configuration, right? That is what you have seen, right? Build configuration. And what is the value? It is supposed to be release or okay. I don't want to. Okay. Now this is the variable. Remember, we need to replace the variable with parameters. Okay. Variable. What we can do. Okay. Define a variable. You know that will not work here. Just to show you difference. My version is 1.0. Okay. Now I want to use this particular instead of projects, right? What I will do, dollar. So parameters, if you remember variables, we are using the normal bracket. Here you have to use the flower braces. Okay. And you need to add the value here, whatever the parameters, this one, dot, okay. Then whatever the name, project name, okay. Close this. I don't want this. Okay. This is how we can represent the parameters. Clear? Then this is okay. This is okay. This project is okay. Hyphen configuration. Here also you need to use similar way. This way. This one. I don't want this bracket now. This also. Here also parameters. Parameters dot the build configuration. Right? Now what is our next task? And I want publish also. Again, I'll copy it from my uh, previous one. Where is the publish here? This one. Done. Right? Again, this configuration, I will here. I'll use this here. Here. You might get syntax errors, but don't worry, we'll fix it. Okay. Now, if you give what we will do template, I want to build two times. One is with the release, another one is with the debug. Okay. Basically, I want to reuse that. Okay. Otherwise, what happens? Assume first you will do the debug build. Then again, if you do the build again with the release, if you have the same output location, then it will overwrite with the debug objects. But I don't want to do that, right? I need to separate my output objects. So for that, what you need to do? Dot artifact staging directory. If I'm passing my I'll simply avoid that by adding my whether it is debug or release. Okay. Did we add the display name here? Display names we have, right? Okay, just commit. Just checking. Parameters output is going to be so and so. This is okay. This is also okay. Did we enable? Now I have a template file. Now I want to include this in my pipeline, actual pipeline. How to do that? This is just a template file what we have created. Now go to pipelines, AML pipeline, edit. Instead of using, I want to reuse basically what and all the restore, build, and publish. Let me comment this. Restore, why restore two times? Task restore, task build, and one more task. Yes. Okay. If you want to comment, Control K is the comment. I mean shortcut key. So I want to replace this, but in this so much of right, so many lines of code. Oh, just uncommented everything. I think I have done a mistake. What I want to comment only from this, not even steps. So I want to comment only three tasks. Task 1, task 2, task 3. So what we have done, .kc only for these three. Now I'll use the template option. Before my right template and what I want, parameters, and what parameters I want, build configuration. Okay, build configuration. Correct. Anything wrong here? No.
L
Something is missing, is it?
BUILD.
BUILD. Yeah. Build configuration. This is one-time effort, so should be very careful. I'll do the same thing for debug first. Then what I'll do, I will repeat it for for my release also. Okay. So I should have debug output and release output. Yes. Why unexpected property is giving? I have declared it, right? Template name you should give, otherwise it will not understand, right? I forgot to give the template name. Where did we create our name? Okay, where did we save this? First of all, repos, pipelines. This template is supposed to be equal to our DevOps. Okay, I'll do one thing. Templates. Okay, file name, folder name. New folder, templates. Okay, I'll create this. Now, where is our file? Under templates here. Where is your, where is that other one? We saved it, right? What happened? Oh, I think we have not, we forgot to save that. Okay. Templates. Your file name is dot .yaml. Create it. Paste this. Commit it. We have this, and which is not required here, basically. Here is the other one. This one. Delete. Not required anymore. Okay. Okay. Now we have templates and build.yaml, correct? Now you go here. Where is that? Templates slash dot. This is where we have. Same thing is required here also. Yeah. Validate and save. Variable. Okay. Where is my S is missing. Okay. Validate. What happened? Why again? RIA. Something wrong with the variables basically. We'll do one thing. Edit. Commit. Validate. Yeah. Save it. And run it. Now basically what we have done, just to simplify, the templates are replaced with, let it run. I'll show you. See here, restore, build, publish, restore, build, publish. Why it is repeating? Because we have mentioned two times, one for debug, one for release. And you should modify the display name so that I'll show you once. Let it complete. Okay. Now, if you go and check your artifact, you'll see two things. One is debug, and the one is release. Here, see here, debug and release. So instead of writing the same code in 3 plus 3, 6 times, right? But debug 3 times and release 3 times, I just written in 3 places, right? All these things gone. So many lines into 2. We avoided by just typing these 2. This is what the advantage of template, reusable, right? So in YAML, this is another biggest advantage, using templates files, and we can reuse many things with simple code, right? In one place, same thing like what we have done yesterday. Instead of modifying in 2 into whatever the so many lines, if I go and modify in my just template file, that is done. Okay. Here, instead of display, you can just modify to whatever that configuration, whatever it is, parameters that build configuration, whichever the value you are giving, you can specify that. Okay. Clear? Any doubt? So this is the advantage of templates files. The templates we are maintaining in one place, but we are using that template here, where the templates followed by the build YAML is the name, template slash build.yaml. That is what we are using. Now, whatever code you have written here, that is getting executed here. Okay. So this is how we can, I gave the example here. Templates, how to create all those things. Okay. Clear? So this is how the CI pipeline. So next session, we will see how to create the release pipeline, which is CD basically. Now we have seen how to integrate your version control system to CI pipeline. Now we have generated the artifacts also using the CI pipeline. Now how to use those objects, build artifacts basically into CD pipeline. So pass this value as an input to your release pipeline and deploy into multiple environments. That we'll see in the next session. Okay.
Yeah, I think Vijaya asked for a few questions. I think they are addressed.
Where?
She pinged in the chat.
On Chong. Okay, so I'm still confused about the syntax of the arguments and what all arguments we need to give. Please explain. Also, please explain when to use the arguments. Okay. See, arguments. Now, assume most of the time there will be different types of builds. For that, release build is one and debug build is another one. So instead of pausing every time either release or debug, so what I am doing here, I have defining my arguments. Here, right? So either release or debug. That arguments we are passing here. So what is the advantage? Instead of modifying manually, right, or giving the inputs as manual, whether release build or debug build, because since it is going to be completely automated. So in between, you are not going to enter manually anything here. So that is where we will be defining our variables and arguments. Those will be using here. Is the other question? Can you please explain? I have an issue with my mic. Okay. Passing arguments is like there will be so many arguments, right? So that is an example of debug and release. Okay. Okay. Just be confused. See what happened. Let me modify this file a little bit so that you can understand. Here is my display name. This is my template, right? I'm using templates, so let me publish, modify this. Copy this. I'll show you practically. Build in so and so, right? So next is the other place. Publish in so and so. And restore in so and so. I'm going to commit this. Commit. Okay, since we have committed, now your pipeline should start. Otherwise, you run it. Run pipeline. Run it. ML pipeline I'm running. Now see the difference between this and the previous run. Let it run. See here, first time it is happening in debug. Even the build will happen in debug. Publish will happen in debug. Then the next time restore is happening in release. Build is happening in release. Publish is happening in release. So this is where the place where you can use your arguments like this. Okay. Reusability basically. Getting notification. Okay, syntax you are confusing. Okay. So what is the difference in case if you are using in a template, right? Is that so you have to specify with the like this. Okay. You need to add this. But whereas if you are directly using in pipeline, you don't need to specify all those things. Don't get confused with it. If you are using in a template, this is how you need to represent dollar flower process. But whereas if you are directly using in a AML, here is that file which we have committed somewhere. Where did we commit that? Here. Here, the representation is this way. In templates, you have to use the flower braces. Here, you need to use this way. And you need to append the value, whatever you are writing here, in the build.yaml, right? This one. Parameters you need to append. That's all the difference. There is no major difference.
Hello, am I audible now? Hello?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I was actually confused. So I understand what our arguments are.
Hmm.
So let's say in the build task, you have mentioned it as hyphen hyphen configuration and then parameters dot build configuration. So can you
Right.
like I just wanted to know what is the exact meaning of it, like what are we using configuration word for, and so for the parameters dot build configuration, I understand that it's like a path. So within the parameters, it is taking the parameter of build configuration, which is again release, right?
Exactly.
So, can you explain why are we using the configuration word over there?
That is the syntax, right? If you see uh, .NET build hyphen hyphen configuration, that is the predefined value which is mandatory to understand whether you are passing, whether it is a release or debug, whatever it is, right? The hyphen hyphen
Mhm.
configuration is the .NET, which is required for the .NET build to understand what type of configuration you are giving as an input. The configuration, whatever
Okay.
hyphen hyphen configuration, that is the syntax, which is mandatory.
Mm.
It's a
Okay.
syntax. Don't get confused with the parameters or your arguments and the actual syntax. Let's say hyphen
Okay.
hyphen password is there or hyphen hyphen
Okay.
username is there. Somewhere you will pass. Why do you need to
Mm.
give hyphen hyphen user? Otherwise, your system will not understand that value what you are passing as a user or hyphen hyphen
Okay.
password. Whatever the value you are going to pass as a password, system has to understand, right? Whether it is a password or XYZ or email ID or whatever it is.
Okay. So
That is the
basically, it's
reason.
defining the type of the
Exactly.
parameter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So so the configuration has to be sent in as an argument in the build and only publish, right?
Right. Wherever it is required. In our example, I explained you for the build and publish because while building, you need to define whether it is a debug build or release build. Similarly, what type of objects you are publishing. In case if you are building for release objects and you have to publish the release objects only. That is the reason we need to specify even for the publish.
Okay, like how do we get to know when to use which type of arguments?
Okay. That is by default if you are giving it for the customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Assume DevOps engineer will use the release. For developers point of view, they will use the debug. Why? Because
Okay.
the debugging, the logging mechanism is different. That's all. The objects same again. They can they'll get more information in debug configuration. That's all the difference. Mainly for the
Okay.
developers debug, not for the uh, DevOps guys or build engineers.
Okay. And also in the publish task, I see an extra argument as output. So as far as I know, the build will have an output as some artifact, right? Like a
Yes,
DDL file or a .exe
DLL.
file, right? So
Right.
we will have an output over there only. So why are we using it in the publish task?
There are two things, right? Again, I think we discussed in one of the sessions. What is the difference between publish and publish artifact? What your
No, no,
publish
no.
does.
I was concerned about the build and the publish one.
Huh. So if you don't give the hyphen hyphen output so and so location, by default, it will go and add inside the project. But my requirement, why I'm adding here is this output should go as an input for my CD, which I'll cover in a later session. So that is the reason I'm explicitly specifying that go and sit in some specific location where that is going to be the input for my CD pipeline.
Yeah. Okay, understood. So, yeah, I guess that's it. I was a little bit confused about the syntax of the argument and where and in which task we need to use what type of arguments. That's
Okay.
all.
Any other doubts? Okay. If there are no doubts, so see you next session. We'll see multi-stage pipelines, all those things next. Okay. Bye. Thanks.
Thank you, Ji.